Hi loves, it's Lacey and welcome to our space. So today we're going to be doing some summer wreaths, starting off with this one that I made for my mother a couple of years ago. I utilized a 18-inch reform, some Dollar Tree green yarn, and a bunch of florals that I got on clearance at Joann Fabrics, and some Dollar Tree ones as well. However, my mother has two doors on the front of her house, and because of this, she has requested two wreaths that kind of match each other. And this one, since it's from 2 years ago, I have very little supplies left from what I made it from. Actually, only these things here that came from Dollar Tree and from Joann Fabrics. It's all I have left. So what I'm going to do is take some of the florals off of this wreath, like some of the pink here and some of the other yellows, and then put those on the new wreath that I'm going to be doing for our other door, and then I'm going to add some pieces to this one so it all looks cohesive, because you can see both of her wreaths at the same time. So like I said, this was an 18-inch round reform. I made it into a oval, and I actually tacked everything on to the frame of this reform with some zip ties. So here is a 14-inch round one, and I'm just going to show you how I just basically gently stretch this to make it into an oval one. That's what I've done with the one that I did for my mom. I've done this on my channel before, so if you're not new here, this is how I do this, and it was really easy. So let's start here by removing some of the flowers from this wreath. I'm taking off some that I have multiple of, and I'm making some space to add some new ones. I'm going to be adding in these purples because my mom said she would love some purple on here as well. That came from Dollar Tree this year. I'm not sure if they still have them, but Dollar Tree has tons of florals all the time. I'm sure you can find something, if not something on clearance, at one of the other craft stores like Joann's or where I got the other ones. So now I'm also cutting off some of these long things. I did not like them, and I'm going to replace them with some of these florals. I think these came from Hobby Lobby. I liked the lighter green stems and the bright yellow. My mother really loves bright yellow, so I used some of those. Now I also have these. These are from Joann's, and I got them on clearance. As I showed you, I had some of the green ones. They're already on the wreath, so I'm just cutting off some that are kind of yellow and green, and I'm dry fitting them in to where I want them, and then I'm using some hot glue to glue them in to the sides, and voila, we still have the same wreath, and it looks just as good. I know it's really super full. It's really quite extra. You guys already know I am, and my mom loved it this way. She wanted it to look like it was growing in the garden. So now let's go on to her second wreath. I'm going to be using this basket. I picked it up at a local store, so I'm sorry you can't get the exact one, but they do have wonderful baskets at all the craft stores, especially Hobby Lobby. They carry a lot. I'm using a bunch of florals that I took off of her wreath and other ones that I added on. And I have these home signs. It comes 2 in a pack in Crafter Square. I'm going to be using one of those. I also use this white styrofoam from Dollar Tree, and I have to tell you, don't. I hated it. It was very hard to work with. Go ahead and use the green. I use white because I thought it might show through. I'm taking my Ryobi knife. It's a regular knife, and I'm cutting through it. It took a regular knife to cut through it. It was so bad. And then I filled it in so I have somewhere to stick my florals just in case it was like windy or someone messed with it. So now I'm going to take one of these home signs, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint it. You can leave it the blonde wood if you like it, but I'm going to paint it kind of the green color that was the yarn. I mixed together some Aqua Sky Apple Barrel. This is a white Deco Art paint, and this is the Dollar Tree green. It's more of a lime green. I actually put in the cup more green, then added a little blue, and then the white until I got the color I wanted. You could actually just paint this if you have the ribbon that I'm going to use a little later, the lime green, and it will work out fine. But I was trying to match the green color of the yarn that was on the other wreath. And so now I'm going to take these two ribbons. They came from Hobby Lobby. One is just a really nice pink, and the other one has pink and green and white stripes on it, and I'm going to wrap it around in the middle where the two colors meet, where the natural of the basket and the white painted on meets. I'm going to then just glue it in the back. Now, I didn't get fancy or anything with my gluing them down in the back. I was going to fold it over and try to make it super neat, but these are hanging on doors, so I didn't really worry about it. If you're worried about it, I do a little bit of better job of gluing them together. I decided to put a second layer because I'm going to put the other ribbon in between the two, and it really wasn't wide enough to get as much pink as I wanted showing. And it wasn't wide enough for the home sign to sit on it. You'll see in the middle, I put it on once we flip it back over and get my other ribbon on there. And the other ribbon I just glued right down the center and made sure I glued the sides so there wouldn't be any gaps, or if this was getting, you know, blown around in the wind or anything, it wouldn't want to unravel. I just doubled that over in the back all the way across. Like I said, it's going to hang on a door. It's a flat back basket. You could hang it on a wall if you liked it, or it's really a big nice thing if you had a bicycle that sat out in your yard or something, you could put it on that too. So now I'm just going to go ahead and glue down on the back of my home sign to the ribbons. This is not, it shouldn't have any problems with it because it's actually going on my mom's door and it won't be, you know, exposed to the elements for this one. She does have a screen door. I'm putting it a little bit off center too because I'm going to add something to the side where the E is a little bit later. You guys already know it's going to be a little butterfly, but I knew I was going to put at least one on there. I had a little butterfly on the other wreath. So now I have this giant kind of Gerber daisy that came from Dollar Tree a while ago, and I stuck that in there. I thought it would be a little bit of a focal point, and I'm taking some hot glue and I'm trying to stab the flowers down into that white foam. I found that individual picks didn't work as well, so I took some of the picks that had multiple flowers on them and I popped the heads off and put different colors on and stuck the thicker one down in there, and it worked better. Like this one right here was a pick that I removed flowers off of, and it was thicker on the bottom, and so it worked better to stick into the white foam. Here's another one where I did the same thing. I took different flowers and put them on the heads, and then I just started adding them in like that. Like here's one so I can show you a lot slower. This came with these color flowers. I cut off the excess ones that I didn't need, and I always tend to try to leave one extra one, so then if I want to fill in, I'll have one more tip here to add extras to. See, I just left that one blank, and then I shoved it down in there into the foam. Now some of these, they go in really easy and you don't have to worry about it, and then other ones I put a little glue on the back and stuck them to the other flowers because we're not going to be taking this apart. It's supposed to look like this overflowing bouquet, and she absolutely loves it. This one has a little more of the pinks and the purple, though one of her favorite colors is yellow, and so I put a lot of yellow in there as well. I also found these light pink Gerber daisies just to give it a little bit more of an accent because I wanted this basket as full as I could get it. And there you have it. That's what it looks like. I went back in and I added a little tiny butterfly after I took it off of my door. This is hanging on the inside of my door. I love how full, how cheerful. It's kind of a cross between spring and summer. She wanted really bright for summer. So now here I got a little bit like jealous and I wanted a new wreath for my door. I have a lot of wreaths here, but I really wanted one for my door. So I have a grapevine wreath. I got it on clearance somewhere. I don't even remember where, maybe Michael's. And I have these Dollar Tree signs. I couldn't decide if I wanted this more kind of whitish gray one or the wood tone. I'm going to go ahead with the whitish gray toned one. And I have some of the same flowers that I used on my mom's wreaths. And I have some of the ones that I got from Dollar General, I do believe. Actually, she bought them for me, and I'm going to use those for this wreath. I am first, though, going to take our sign, and I'm going to cut the bottom half off to use for a sign on the wreath, and I'm doing it at 14 inches. I took my large T-square and my OB X-Acto knife, and I scored it like 10 times on that line. Then I flipped it over and I did the same thing on the other side. And then once I had that done, I could just snap it in half. And it snaps really well without tearing the paper when you do it that way. Then I went with my Cricut Maker 3 and I cut out what I wanted my sign to say. This has a background with black over the hot pink, and it says no soliciting unless you're selling tequila, and you have free samples. I just thought it was a fun, playful way to tell solicitors not to knock on my door, because we've had a few lately that want us to buy all kinds of lawn care and stuff that we don't want. And it also is fun and playful. It's been a hard year, you guys, for me already, and for a lot of us out there, so I want to do fun things and playful things. Then I cut out a margarita glass that has a little lime over to the side of it, and I adhered it on here, and that little lime was making me crazy, didn't want to stick. It's probably because this was removable vinyl and the rest of them were permanent vinyl, but I got it on there. I also cut out a little shot glass that has a lemon, and I'm also putting that on there. Now, I know a lot of you guys might be like, oh, you're asking for tequila? You can change the sign any kind of way that you want. You can put no soliciting unless you're selling cookies or puppies or dog treats, or I don't even know, whatever your thing is, you can do that. I also am adding the little insert from what would have been weeded out for our lime on the other side on the G, and then what would have been weeded out for the lemon I'm going to put on top of the end on the no, just to give it a little more pop of color, because these are the colors we're going to be putting on the sign anyway. So now I'm going to set it on top of my grapevine wreath to see exactly where I want it to sit. And then I'm going to take it off there, and I've decided to adhere mine using some fishing line. I am going to set it on these little scrap pieces of wood that I have here and use my Ryobi cordless rotary tool. I love this thing, and I'm going to punch some holes in it with, I don't know what the end tool is called, but it comes in the kit, and you can use it as a hole punch. I think it comes in this kit. I'm not going to guarantee you it does, but they sell the accessories at Home Depot too. I have a kit for my precision rotary tool, and I put all of my tools together, which was probably not a good idea. And it might have been in that one. Anyway, you can get it really cheap, the little tool, if it doesn't come with it. I'm going to be using this fishing line to adhere mine because I don't want to see twine or whatever, and fishing line is super strong, plus my holes are not that big. If you wanted bigger holes and you wanted to use twine or rope or something, you can use a drill and drill holes into it, and it'd be just as easy. I didn't want to just hot glue it on there because it does get quite hot on my front door, and I think the sign would start to move if I was just hot gluing it on. So I'm just double knotting the fishing wire, and you can't even see it. Now I have these really cool leaves. They're like little palms that I got from Dollar Tree. And I thought, margaritas, palms, it's just a party. It's going to be a party on this wreath. So I'm going to be using a bunch of those on here. And I think it's going to be really, really nice. And truthfully, the rest of the decorations on this are going to be just personal preference. You can put anything you want on here. I want it to be nice and full. I want it to be really bright and colorful. A lot of my pieces, what I do is I dry fit them, as you can see that I'm doing here. I did this on my mom's wreaths. These flowers, I know they came from Dollar General or Family Dollar. These are from Dollar Tree, the little pink ones here. I've had these for a while. They carry these every single solitary year. So I just kind of dry fit them and see where I want them to go. And then I put some hot glue on there and I stick them on. I also stick the stems when I can, when I don't cut them down too short, underneath the pieces of the grapevine. And a lot of times I'll pick up the wreath and hold it up to make sure it looks the way I want it. Or I will actually hang it on the wall so I can see how it's coming out, and it makes a lot easier. I'm doing time lapse here because nobody wants to have me sit here and glue on every single one of these, especially since I'm layering them, and it works out really, really well for me to be able to see where the colors are and stuff. And this is what my wreath looks like. I think it's really cute and really playful. I'm going to be hanging this on the outside of my front door, but here it is on the inside of my front door. And like I said, you can have it say whatever you like. So that is it for this video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Here's my mother's wreath on her door. I love she has these crescent windows at the top, and this one goes on the door that people walk into, so it says welcome. I love the bright colors. She's in love with it. It is a lot on this wreath. You don't have to do yours this much, but I think it turned out really well for her and it fits her aesthetic perfectly. I added a little butterfly on it before, and you can see that the green yarn looks really nice and soft, and it just works for the color of her door with the blonde wood on the welcome. And here's the other one. On the other door, these are both on the front of her house. It also has a crescent window, but it's a little fancier, and I think the wicker basket goes really well and looks really nice here. And it's just hanging from the actual handle on the basket. I knew I could do this. You could put a ribbon if you want yours to hang down further, if you don't have a hook where she has a hook because of her window. And then here's mine again on the inside of my door. I just think no soliciting unless you're selling tequila and you have free samples is a fun way to greet people at your front door. You can put anything on it, like I said, and it will work out really cute for you. You can make any kind of sign, and it was very easy, and this wasn't even expensive to do because most of my flowers were on clearance. This is it on the outside of my door, and you can see it from the road, so solicitors can start walking up and read it and then walk away. But if you're not a solicitor, of course you're welcome to be coming to my house. So that is it. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you want to see what I have coming up next. I'm going to be bringing you some more wedding DIYs shortly here on this channel, and I will catch all of you in my next video. Bye, loves.